Hello and welcome to Lost Wheels 506. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm actually going to try and figure out why I'm hearing a bit of an exhaust sound pretty much in this general area. I'm not exactly sure what it is, so I'm going to have to take a look and find out what it is.
So, after looking for some time, I ended up finding the exhaust leak sound. I originally thought it was the gaskets for the exhaust headers, but it wasn't. It was the EGR hose that was previously plugged. To get to it, I have to remove everything that is before the intake manifold. So let's start with the filter and move backwards. Now I'm removing the throttle cable, some hoses, and a couple of electrical connections from the throttle body. Moving on to remove the grounding wire and some vacuum lines. Now, finally getting to the plenum, there is an odd bolt sorta hidden in between the plenum runners, so don't forget that one. Oh, and don't forget to remove any other bolts to be able to completely remove it, and voila, it's off. So here's the problem piece with its insulator, and there's the broken piece. It was only holding on by a small amount. Then I loosened the other part connected to the intake, and voila, it's also out. And well, since I was all about removing things at this stage, I decided to remove the cruise controller thingy, I'm not sure what it's called, since it was no longer connected. I thought later of putting it back in, but that module is rusty and weak near the bottom of it, so no more cruise control. Okay. Here's a look at the plug that will be going into the intake manifold. As you can see, there is a smooth tapered section at the end of it. I have to remove this to get it to fit snugly. Getting it to look like this. Did the best I could with what I had, and here's a test fit. All is good. Now it's installed, or rather plugging the hole. I did use some high temp gasket maker to make sure it's sealed up as good as I could get it. All done. Now going back to installing things, here's the plenum. I installed some gasket maker on one side to help with sealing. Not sure if it really needed it, but I did reuse the gasket since it came off real easy from the removal process. The other side is left as is, to try and be able to remove it just as easily the next time. The plenum is now installed in place, so it's time to reconnect everything. There is a PCV that needs to be placed correctly on the back side, then all your electrical and hose connections need to be made on the throttle body. Oh, and don't forget your vacuum hoses. Almost there. Here are the final pieces. The throttle cable and intake tube that runs to the filter have to be installed, and that's it. I'm finally done. Here's the engine running. Far less noisier than before, so I'm very happy. But I may still have a little gasket issue on the headers. I don't think the bolts help that much either.
Well, that wasn't too bad, so I'm pretty glad that I figured out what it was, and that it was not something that was overly complex or complicated, or something that had multiple parts. But it also seems like it's one of those things where you solve one sound or get rid of it, and then you hear more sounds. So who knows? But I'm glad that the biggest one is actually removed, and it turned out to be pretty good. So on that note, thank you for watching, and don't forget to get lost in whatever you do.